Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight we have Eric Gales, and this is going to be coming from 2017, so last year. And this is Eric playing through a little bit of Voodoo Child, Kashmir, a little bit of Beethoven as well, and Back in Black. But let's have a little look at Eric and see how he's getting on.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Damn, that's a good tone. Shut your mouth.
So I'm just going to stop it there now that we're into this kind of funky groove that he's added in. And one of the things that will happen with obviously covering Hendrix is a lot of people will compare it to the original, and some people put totally their own take on it, and some people try and copy it as closely as they can. And this is one of those interesting performances where Eric has got all the techniques and he's got that really cool sound as well. And as you could see, he's playing exactly as Hendrix did. And Eric's playing the guitar upside down because it's a right-handed guitar, but he's playing it left-handed, but he hasn't restrung it a different way. So the strings are actually upside down. So the thin E string is the closest one to him, and the low E string is the furthest one away, which is actually the reverse way. He's actually right-handed, but the story behind it is that Eric had an older brother who was 10 years older than him, who was left-handed, and he taught him to play the guitar. And his brother, Emmanuel, actually went on to become Little Jimmy King, who played with Albert King. So just a hell of a player in his own right. But when Emmanuel was 14, Eric was only 4. And Emmanuel started teaching Eric guitar at aged 4. So just get your heads around that. I mean, that is a crazy age, early age to start playing the guitar or being introduced to playing the guitar. So it's all he's ever known. At that age, Eric wasn't in the position to say, oh, hang on, actually, I'm right-handed, so I should be playing it the other way around. He just took on however he was taught to play and continued to play that way. And then at an older age, then realized that he used his right hand for everything else and realizes that actually he's been playing guitar the other way around. But obviously, it's so set in the way of playing in his brain since the age of 4 that it's not going to be a hindrance at all. It's just really natural the way that he plays. But Eric, through this performance of Voodoo Child, he starts off really authentic and really cool, and then he kind of switches it up a little bit, and now we're into this kind of funky groove. And it's a really interesting take. I know that he was signed on an affiliate label of the Hendrix family anyway, and he kind of has that little nod towards Hendrix. His brother Emmanuel was a huge fan of Hendrix as well, so that's probably where he picked up a lot of his techniques and a lot of his stylizations. But Eric has also pushed on forward into the more technical way of playing. As you could see there, that first lead break, he's got that really cool hammer-ons, pull-offs, really great technical playing with alternate picking as well. He's kind of getting that aggressive sound, picking out more of the notes than you kind of would get with hammer-ons and pull-offs. So he actually blends those two techniques really well. And I think that Eric could do a really, really great cover of a Hendrix track, keeping it really authentic, but he's an artist himself, so he wants to put his own stamp on it. But so far, it's just really great playing.
Well, I'm standing next to a mountain, jumping down with the edge of my hand.
And just a quick stoppage to say he's brought that dynamic down, and that's what all the great players do. And just to let that vocal kind of stand up on its own and not have to compete with any other instruments, but just to give that light and shade. But just a quick interruption just to mention that look out for this with all the top players, they always do it.
Well, I'm standing here in Texas, chopping down with the edge of my hand. Well, I'm thinking of all the pieces you think out of. I might even raise a lot of little sand. Voodoo child, Lord have mercy. Lord knows I'm a voodoo child.
And there's some really great playing here, but the one thing that's really in evidence is the fact that, like I mentioned, he brought it down for that verse, and then it's almost like you're climbing a mountain and you get to the peak of the mountain for the chorus, have that overdriven sound, and now he's back into this little funky groove that they've got going on for the verse, and already there's so many different destinations to the journey. It's one of those things that might go under the radar for most people, that there's so many little elements, even just 3 minutes in, that have already been introduced to give this song so many different feels and different avenues. Eric's doing a really cool mix of his own version and keeping it true to that original tone and sound that Hendrix had. So a really great version here, Voodoo Child.
Well, Texas, I didn't mean to take up all of y'all's sweet time.
Quick shout out to Nick Hayes on drums for that double foot pedal section. So cool and so accurate, metronome-like timekeeping there.
Dallas, Texas, I said I didn't mean to take up all of y'all's sweet time. Keep it right back to you. 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 Give it right back to you. Give it right back to you the next time I play.
And just to clear up quickly, that almost clap sound that is coming in with every snare, that's LaDonna Gales in the background. You can just see her now between the guitars. And she's hitting what's called kind of a trigger. So it's like almost like a MIDI trigger, so that when you hit a pad, it gives you a particular sound, whatever sound is being triggered, and it's that kind of clapping sound. So if you suddenly think, why does it sound different on the drums? You know, she adds a lot just with that snare, getting it exactly right in terms of timing with Nick on drums. So yeah, really cool little addition. Again, just adding something into the mix that wasn't there originally, just to make it a little bit more interesting and take you into a different place. just going to stop it there just to bring attention to what I mentioned earlier in terms of he pushed on with those techniques in terms of alternate picking. We saw a little run there, it was really cool, really accurate. And that's one of those things that's his own sound, and that's how he kind of wants to compose his own music, and not something particularly that Hendrix did. Hendrix didn't do alternate picking runs or any kind of real kind of shredding per se, but he certainly played fast with hammer-ons, pull-offs, and a little bit of alternate picking going on, but not up to kind of how we have it nowadays, where a lot of players play really long runs just striking the string every time. So it's cool that he starts really authentic, but then just changes it up to put his own artistry on it and his own vibe and that kind of funky feel that we have as well. So really interesting. He's now going to be getting into a bit of Beethoven, so let's check this out. And if you ever needed an indication of technique and ability, it's when a player is playing on a really clean tone. A lot of the videos that I cover in this kind of 60s and 70s, the players always had really clean tones, or very clean compared to nowadays. So their technique was always so clear to hear, and also to see how good it was. And Eric here, some of those runs that he's playing, really quality lines, just descending down the guitar, and it's such a super clean tone that any little trip up and lack of synchronization between his left hand and his right hand would stick out like a sore thumb. But he's so accurate, he's so precise in his playing, and because of his style in that kind of funky groove sometimes he gets into, and he doesn't kind of overexpose people to those kind of techniques, but he's got everything that you need, and just that is an amazing indication. Another thing I want to draw attention to is Eric does these octave slides where he'll play a line in the lower octave and then he'll instantly snap up to that octave high, play exactly the same line, snap down, do exactly the same line again, and it is so accurate, and it's actually really difficult to be that accurate with slides within the time frame that he's giving himself. It is like an instant snap up to the position, snap back down again. And now he's going to be getting into a little bit of Kashmir, which we'll watch a little bit of. I don't want this video to go on for too long, but we'll have a little look. You can see now his stage hand is actually pressing his distortion pedal, so he's going to give him that tone to now get on with the next track. I'm just going to stop it there because that's exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. Those octave slides just sound so cool. And nowadays what people would do is they'd use an octave pedal to play the lower line and then kind of close the pedal to then get it a higher octave and then open it to get the lower octave as well. So yeah, Eric just does it the old school way, so that it's just really impressive technically to get the slides that accurate. But Eric, you know, fantastic playing here, really cool cover. And if you get a chance, watch this whole video because he gets back into Voodoo Child at the end as well. But I'm going to put the link to this video in the description below so you guys can check it out. Thanks for suggesting this one in the first place. Keep those coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.